Ania, Nakasita Betty Mpongo, Nakai Julius Muntu, Naku Fiona, Naku Faith Loru, Nakwede Harriet, Naluima Betty Ethel, Namanya Viola.
Namara Dennis, Namatende Eunice, Namatovu Mastula, Nambazira Florence, Nambeshe John Baptist, Namboze Teddy, Namboze Teddy, Namere Justin, Namubidu Rabusheja Margaret, Namuganza Persis Princess, Namuju Sisi Dionysia, Namuju Sisi Dionysia. Namukuta Brenda, Namlondo Sarah, Namtawe Joan, Nangoli Gerald, Nangoli Umar, Nankabira Anne Maria, Nankwanga Stella Maris, Nantongo Fortunate Rose, Nanzala Metrin, Nasolo Eugenia. Natumanya Flora, Natulinda Eliab, Nawe Molly Kamkama, Naevale Sylvia, Naziwa Margaret, Ndezi Alex, Nekesa Christine Situma, Ngabirano Charles, Ngompek Linos, Ninkusima John Paul. Ninsima Evelyn, Nirinjimana James Ruji Kaberuka, Niyonsaba Alex, Nkrumah Roland, Nkunyinji Muwada, Namara Annette Oyes Byamukama, Samba Patrick Oshabe, Segumire Muhammad Chibedi, Ntabazi Harriet, Ntale Sereko Madina. Nuria Hafsa Teko, Nyakato Asinans, Nyakato Dorothy, Nyamtoro Fiona, Nyeko Johnson Kezekia, Obiga Rose, Obong Peter Achuda, Obong Vincent Shedrick, Oboth Maxons Jacob, Ochan Patrick. Ochen Geoffrey, Ochai Maximus, Odongo JJ Abubeka, Odwori John, Ofono Opondo Podel, Ogama Ali Ismail, Ogwal Joseph Jones, Ogwang Patrick Obura, Ogwang Peter, Ojara Martin Mapenduzi. Ojit Peter, Ojok Andrew Olanya, Okasai Sidronius Opolot, Okelo Geoffrey Charles, Okelo Patrick Onguti, Okecho George, Okecho John Francis, Okeyo Peter, Okia Joan Aniku, Okiding Sam.
Okot Boniface Henry, Okot Peter, Okoya John Calvin, Okulo Francis, Okumu Gabriel, Okwere David Becham, Okwi Constantine, Olanya Gilbert, Oleru Huda Abason, Omara Paul, Omoding Emmanuel, Onek Hilary Obalakoer, Oneka Lit Amere Dennis, Ongaro Obote Clement Kenneth. Ongertho Emmanuel Joe, Ongom Patrick, Ongrok Richard, Ongo James, Onzima Fiona, Opio Samuel Achut, Opito Vincent, Opio Denish Geoffrey, Opolot Isiagi Patrick. Opolot Okolinga Simon Peter, Orgumiriza Eni Otobar Wellborn Odia, Ouma Willie, Owe Richard Machika, Owino Nicholas Simon, Parker Peter Pex, Paparu Lilian Obial, Pedun Josephine, Rwachmari Beatrice, Rugumayo Edison, Rugumayo Edison, Ruhindi Frederick. Ruteraho Lilian, Rwakojo Rubina Greme, Rwamirama Bright Kanyantore, Rwashande Emmanuel, Sazi Godfrey, Nsange Jacqueline, Sebamara Richard, Sekabira Dennis, Sekindi Aisha, Senteza Richard. Shamje Tana, Sirwanyi Solomon, Sebuga Kimeze Brunado, Sekitoreko Robert, Semwanga Javira, Semwanga Joseph, Sentai Muhammad.
Senyonyi Joel Besekezi, Serukenya David, Serunjoji Hassan Muchibi, Sewagude Robert, Sewungu Joseph Gonzaga, Subi Chinyamatama Juliet K, Taban Ate Sharifa, Tayebwa Didas Kabumbuza, Tayebwa Thomas, Tebandeke Charles. Teira John, Tete Chelangat Evelyn, Tibiaze Peace, Tio William Taylor Oda, Tom Aliti Chandia, Tukahira James Vienjuru Hunter, Tumukunde Henry Kakurugu, Tumuramya Genensio, Tumusime John Bosco, Tumwebaze Frank Kajiji. Tumwebaze Mwine, Tumwesje Anthony, Tumwesje Elioda, Tujaikayo Kebirunji Mary Paula, Twala Fadil, Twesige Stephen, Twinamasko Onesmus, Twinomujuni Francis Kazini, Uhuru Nelson, Wako Joy Peggy. Wabusani Stephen Makwa, Waiswa Joel Azalwa, Wakabi Pius, Wakida Patrick Godfrey, Wakoli Godfrey Matembu, Waluswaka James, Waliomu Moses Muwanika, Wamakuyu Ignatius Mudimi, Wandera John Paul, Wandera Sadala. Wanyama Judas Tadeo, Wanyama Richard, Wanyenya Shafiga, Wanyoto Godfrey, Wanyoto Lydia Mutende, Wekomba Sarah Nambozo, Wembabazi Beatrice, Wokuri Geoffrey, Zake Francis, Zambali Blasio Mukasa, Zawede Victorious.
According to the list I've been following, I think the list is over. If there is any person whose name has not been read, you can step forward and be verified. Otherwise, I'm going to close the voting. Yeah. Okay. Please, if you know your name was not read or you came late, step forward for verification, and then you'll be allowed to vote. Otherwise, I'm about to close the voting.
He's just saying. Leon York Odiria. Among Anita Annette. Niringimana James Rugi Kaveruka. Okia Joan Aniku. Sanzi Godfrey. Sebamara Richard. Zawede Victorious.
Chiwanuka Abdallah. Serukanya David. Richard. Sazi Godfrey.
Okay, I now close the voting. So we can go into counting of the ballots cast. Yeah. So the clerk is going to open the ballot box and power the ballots on the table, and then he will announce each ballot one by one in the presence of the agents. Let's proceed.
James Mukaga, you are going to hold votes for Jacob Obos. Atwere Doreen, you are going to hold votes for Honorable Mao Norbert. And Kasidia Ignatius, you are going to hold the votes garnered by Honorable Paul Muiru. Jacob Obosobos, Honorable Muiru Paul.
How can you read from here?
Obos Maxon.
Display for them to see. No, behind, they wrote behind.
Obos Maxon. Obos Jacob. Jacob Obos. Obos Jacob Obos. Honorable Obos Obos. Obos Jacob. Jacob Obos. Obos. Jacob Maxon Obos. Jacob Maxon Obos. Obos Honorable Muiru Paul. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Muiru Paul. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Jacob Maxon Obos. Jacob Obos. Obos. Jacob Obos. Honorable Obos. Obos Jacob. Mao Norbert. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Obos Jacob. Muiru Paul. Jacob Obos. Obos Tayebwa.
That's spoiled. That's spoiled.
Yes. Spoiled? Yeah.
There is just an error.
Obos.
We don't have a candidate. No, we don't have a candidate called Obot.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Yeah. Jacob Obos. Obos. Jacob Obos.
Yes, it's his first word. Yes.
Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Obos Maxon. Obos. Obos. Jacob Obos. Obos Jacob. Honorable Jacob Obos. Obos. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Norbert Mao. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Jacob. Jacob Obos. Obos Jacob. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Paul Mwiru. Norbert Mao. Obos. Paul Mwiru. Jacob. Obos. Jacob Jacob. Jacob Jacob Obos. Jacob. Jacob. Paul Mwiru. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos.
Paul Mwiru. Obos Jacob. Jacob Obos. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Obos Obos. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Obos. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Obos. Jacob Obos. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Obos Jacob. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Jacob Obos. Mao Norbert. Obos Obos. Obos Obos. Obos Jacob. Obos Obos. Obos Obos. Obos Obos. Paul Mwiru.
by ensuring that funding of government programs is increased to match the increased population growth. He will also ensure that the talk about the tenfold growth strategy is matched with resource allocation. Honorable Mwilu is competent, is exemplary, and accountable, so he brings such leadership to the 12th Parliament as a Speaker. Under his leadership, he will cause the reduction of funds to consumptive expenditure and invest more in capacity building of members and staff. In addition, resources will be reallocated to parliamentary committees so that members are adequately enabled to conduct oversight at committee level. Honorable Mwilu will cultivate a habit of budget discipline to ensure that funds are spent only on what they have been budgeted for. All members will be aware of what has been allocated to specific activities so that they can hold his leadership accountable. Dear members, Honorable Mwilu is a man of integrity. He's a man who does what he says should be done. I urge you all to see Honorable Mwilu Paul fit to be our Speaker for the next Parliament, this Parliament, the 12th Parliament. I submit.
Okay, let me have the nominated candidate to step forward and state his consent to the nomination. Please note that you state the consent and nothing else, according to the rules.
Your Excellency, the President, my Lord, the Chief Justice, honorable colleagues, I take the singular honor to accept the nomination for the chair of the Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there any other nomination? Please nominate and continue to make the statement.
Your Excellency, the President, my Lord, the Chief Justice, my name is Okot Peter, Member of Parliament for Tochi, County Inomoro District. I rise under Rule 5, subsection 8 of the Parliamentary Rules of Procedure to move that the Honorable Norbert Mao, Member of Parliament for Laro Peche, do take the chair of this Parliament as the Speaker. My Lord, the Chief Justice, and honorable members, let me give a brief background and qualification of the Honorable Norbert Mao. Norbert Mao was born in 1967 to a mother from Isinjiro and a father from Gulu. He spent most of his formative years in Jinja and had most of his secondary education in the central region. That is why he is commonly referred to as Uganda made simple. My Lord, Norbert Mao had a humble childhood in Lacho and Bobo, where he benefited from the kindness of many, Some of them were total strangers. As a little boy, he herded goats, helped on the farm, and worked as a cobbler, bicycle repairer, and as an apprentice to a tinsmith. His primary school then had no P7 class, but on account of his natural brilliance, he went on to do his primary leaving examination at Magwa Primary School, from where he moved on to Wairaka College for 2 years, and then went to Namiliango College, where he sat for both his O and A-level examination before joining Makerere University. His exceptional communication and interpersonal skills, leadership skills, were recognized early by his peers. While in primary school and even at secondary level, he participated in many debates and seminars where he excelled on account of the courage, clarity, and conviction with which he presented his case. At Makerere University, he was elected president of the Student Guild at a time when coming from northern Uganda carried a big stigma. He overcame that stigma and rallied students to champion a campaign against the World Bank-inspired policies, referred to as structural adjustment programs. But in reality, it required government in underdeveloped countries to drastically reduce spending on health, education, and livelihoods. The bywords of those policies was cost sharing. The fierce disagreement with the government led to a strike in which 2 students lost their lives and many were seriously injured when the police was deployed on campus on the 10th December 1990. One of those who was seriously injured was our own late Speaker Jacob Olanya. May his soul rest in peace. The Honorable Mao is ever a bridge builder and peacemaker. Norbert Mao, at just 23 years old at that time, reached out to State House and secured an appointment to meet President Museveni, who received a student delegation led by Mao to discuss how to balance other national priorities with the need to ensure access to higher education for students from poor families, the so-called needy student. That conversation laid the foundation for continued government sponsorship of students in universities alongside private sponsorship. Finally, my Lord the Chief Justice, Honorable Norbert Mao has education, experience, skills, and connection locally and internationally to unite this House to deal with crises of confidence facing the members, leaders, and the institutions of Parliament. Norbert Mao is a senior advocate of 32 years standing. He has an undergraduate law degree from Makerere University and a postgraduate diploma in legal practice from the Law Development Center. He has an associate Bachelor of Arts degree and a Master's of Arts degree in Development Studies from Uganda Matters University. He has a Master's of Dispute Resolution and a certificate in International Commercial Arbitration from Pepperdine University, USA. In addition, he was a 2003 World Fellow at Yale University, USA. My Lord, the Chief Justice, Norbert Mao is the President General of the Democratic Party and until recently, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs in the government of Uganda. Having been appointed following a cooperation agreement between the National Resistance Movement and the Democratic Party, Norbert Mao believes in managing our differences through concessional democracy, where we use points of agreement as foothold to find consensus in areas of disagreement. The candidates I present to you will guarantee the privilege, immunities, and independence of the members of parliament. There is no better prerequisite for guaranteeing the freedom of debate that representation and oversight demands.
You should be winding up.
Most of like, than having a presiding officer who does not have an overbearing or coercive influence on members and is himself not under the overbearing or coercive influence of anybody. Norbert Mao is a patriot and was a firebrand legislator in the 6th and 7th Parliament. Now returned to Parliament after voluntarily leaving it 20 years ago. He left Parliament and went to serve with the district as the district chair of Gulu District Local Government. That is why he is commonly referred to as Mr. Chairman. He worked alongside others to support the peace process that silenced the guns in the north, in northern Uganda, and laid the foundation for post-conflict reconstruction. God has preserved him through many life-threatening situations in order to serve the country he loves for such a time as this. As Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, he has been a champion of alternative dispute resolution, the protection of the intellectual property of the creative, and promoter of access to justice in collaboration with the judiciary. As the political head of the Ministry of Justice, he supported the completion of the new building housing many of the justice, law, and order institutions, saving governments over 30 billion shillings annually in rent. Surely, he will quickly ensure the completion of the new parliamentary chambers so that we don't have to come to Kololo every time we have a grand sitting of Parliament. My Lord Chief Justice and honorable members, in conclusion, Honorable Mao, as the current chairman of the summit of the Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue, IPOD, understand what is at stake over the next 5 years and beyond. But at a deeper level, honorable members, Norbert Mao as a candidate for speaker is not the issue. The issue is what is at stake as we elect the speaker. And what is at stake is bigger than any candidate. The NRM has lived with Norbert Mao as Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs for 4 years. Surely, colleagues, NRM can live with Norbert Mao for 5 years as the Speaker. So let us rise above partisan alliance and embrace the gift of Norbert Mao to the NRM and Uganda. Don't ask why Mao, but ask Why not Mao? My Lord Chief Justice and Honorable Member, I beg to move. Thank you very much.
Let me have the second. Please, you have 2 minutes. Don't use more than that.
Much obliged. My Lord, the Honorable Chief Justice and the Honorable Members, as per the Rule 5, Clause 9 of the Parliamentary Rules of Procedure, I, Patrick Okelo Onguri, the Member of Parliament representing Aswa County in this 12th Parliament, rise on a motion to second the Honorable Norbert Mao to take the chair of this Parliament as the Speaker. I beg to move.
Thank you. The candidate, step forward to state your consent. Please note that as per the rules, you only state your consent to the nomination and nothing else.
Much obliged, my Lord. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, my Lord, the Chief Justice, the Honorable Members of Parliament, in as few words as it takes, I, Norbert Mao, Member of Parliament for Laro Peche, hereby consent to my nomination to take the chair as the Speaker. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Any other nomination?
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice, colleagues, members of Parliament, I'm here on two folds. One, to close the nomination. Two, to move on a matter of procedure under Rule 17, Sub-Rule 1. My Lord, Office of the Speaker carries immense responsibilities, and the 11th Parliament has been alleged to have been the epicenter of corruption. Therefore, I move under Rule 17, Sub-Rule 1, causing for the suspension of Rule 5, Sub-Rule 3, and Rule 10, Sub-Rule 10, and to allow the nominated members to present their credentials, such that we are able to assess whether they meet the requisite governance qualities that can restore public trust in the institution of Parliament and to protect the gains so far achieved. My Lord, it is of imperative necessity that you allow this proposal and you suspend Rule 5, Sub-Rule 3 and Sub-Rule 10 and grant the nominated candidates 15 minutes to address the House such that we are able to make informed decision. My Lord, the right to be heard before a decision is made is constitutional. Even in the Bible, when Adam and Eve sinned in the Garden of Eden, God first called them to defend themselves before he passed judgment onto them. So today, we are going to make decision to elect Speaker of Parliament. It would be good for us to hear from them and we make an informed decision. Your Lordship, my name is Uchenn Geoffrey, Member of Parliament, representing Kyoga North constituency in Amalata district. I beg to submit.
Let me first of all begin by overruling you. Sub-Rule 3 you talk about actually prohibits campaigning by the members nominated. Secondly, Rule 10 only talks about consent. So can we then proceed? In view of the fact that more than one members have been nominated, I now announce the ballot will now be taken.
My Lord, I mentioned Rule 5, Sub-Rule 3 and Rule 5, Sub-Rule 10.
I've already made a ruling. I will not go back to it. No more procedure. Can we please close the nominations and proceed to take the ballot? So given that there is no any other candidate, I have 370 members present who are eligible to participate in the election. And in view of the fact that there is no more candidate, I close the nomination and I proceed announce a ballot be taken in accordance with Rule 5, Sub-Rule 13. This election will be conducted beyond reproach. Therefore, for the sake of clarity and transparency, I wish to point out the following. Number one, everything will be done in the open, strictly in accordance with the rules. Two, the clerk will ascertain the number of honorable members present, and he has already done. So he tells me we have 370 members present. Each nominated candidate for the position of speaker will designate an agent to come forward and witness the process of opening the ballot box to verify that the ballot box is empty. Ballot papers equivalent to the members present will be counted in the presence of the agent and put aside. When you, as the honorable member, arrives, you will be given one ballot paper in the presence of the designated agent. You will then go to the designated place to vote for your candidate. Suffice to mention is that the ballot papers are blank because nominations are conducted from here. However, I'm confident that each one of you knows how to read and write. You write the name of the honorable member you are voting for speaker in the blank space provided on the ballot paper. Therefore, thereafter followed the marked ballot paper and inserted into the ballot box in full view of everyone. Voting will be by secret ballot, and there is no voting by proxy. So can I have the agents forward? I'm not allowing procedure. Can I have the agents forward? I'm not allowing procedure. Can we have the agents forward? I'm not allowing procedure. Can we have the agents forward? Agents of the candidates. That is the ballot box. As you can see, it is empty, as confirmed by the candidates. Let me call upon the clerk to Parliament to start calling the names for voting. No, we are going to use the register of all sworn-in members to call the names. But as at the time when I was talking, the number I had received was 370. So that should not be a problem. Yeah. So we shall use the register of members.
Ayo Joyce Makomoy.
I suggest that save time, you read them in tens so that they line up, so that we don't spend time moving.
Ababiku Jessica, Abeja Susan Jolie, Abel Lilian, Abigaba Cuthbert Mirembe, Akamfua Topista, Achan Joyce Okeny, Acheng Jane Ruth Ochero, Achayo Juliet Lodu, Acheng Sandra. Achia Kathe, Achia Lokiru Gabriel, Achia Remigio, Achola Catherine, Achom Alobo Joan, Achom Alobo Joan, Achom Esther, Achom Esther, Achon Julius Boa, Achon Julius Boa, Achora Nancy Odonga, Achora Nancy Odonga, Adeke Ann Ebaju, Adeke Ann Ebaju, Adidwa Abdu, Adidwa Abdu. Adome Francis Lorica, Adome Francis Lorika, Ayeku Patrick, Agaba Gilbert, Agava Peter, Aguti Sarah, Ahewa Wilba Manyisa, Aine Godfrey Kaguta, Agilo Maria Goret Elogu, Agilo Maria Goreti Elogu, Akelo Beatrice Akori, Akelo Lucy, Akelo Rose Lily, Achifeza Grace Ngavirano, Akol Anthony, Akorkin Francis, Akoth Angela Zonkire, Akuguziwe Ronald, Akuguziwe Lawrence, Akumu Catherine Mavenjina, Alenyo Marshall Godfrey, Alero Tom Azza, Ali Moses, alinaitwe Silvia Tumuheirwe, Alion York Odiria, Alum Santa Sandra Ogwang, Alupo Jessica Rose Epel, Alieria Dennis Omodi, Amanio Draville Sheila, Amanya Cohen Champene, Amanya Cohen Champene, Amede Agnes, Among Anita Annette, among in Jane Francis Okili, among in Jane Francis Okili, yes. Angura Frederick, Angura Frederick, Angwech Colin, Angwech Colin, Anifa Vangirana, Anifa Vangirana, Anyakun Esther Davinia, Anyakun Esther Davinia, Anyang Janet Hope, Anyang Janet Hope, Anywa Rick Richard, Anywa Rick Richard, Augon Silas, Augon Silas, Awo Betty Ochan, Awo Betty Ochan, Apolot Christine, Apolot Christine. Ariko Herbert Edmund Okworo, Ariko Herbert Edmund Okworo, Arinaitwe Rwakajara Katambuka, Arinaitwe Geneva, Arinaitwe Geneva, Asera Stephen, Asera Stephen, Asimwe Amos, Asimwe Enos, Asimwe Florence Akiki, Asimwe Florence Akiki, Atan Okia Moses, Atan Okia Moses, Atugonza Alan, Atugonza Alan, Atuhoirire Arthur Kazora, Atuhoirire Arthur Kazora, Atukunda Rebecca Mubangizi, Atukunda Rebecca Mubangizi. Atuto Jacinta, Atuto Jacinta, Atwijukire Boaz, Atwijukire Boaz, Atwijukire Dan Kimosho, Atwijukire Dan Kimosho, Atiang Stella, Atiang Stella, Auma Janet, Auma Janet, Auma Kenny, Auma Kenny, Auma Linda Agnes, Auma Linda Agnes, Avako Melissa Naima Gure, Avako Melissa Naima Gure, Avur Janet Pachuto, Avur Jane Pachuto, Awor Betty Engola, Awor Betty Engola. Ayagarachi Jamal, Ayagarachi Jamal, Ayepa Maiko, Ayepa Maiko, Ayo Janeth Phoebe Obol, Ayo Janeth Phoebe Obol, Ayume Charles, Ayume Charles, Batum Ben Koryang, Batum Ben Koryang, Vavanga Wilfred Erima, Vavanga Wilfred Erima, Vabirie Kitio Sara, Vabirie Kitio Sara, Vabirie Mili Vabaranda, Vabirie Mili Vabaranda, Vabura Noel Kateike Matlida, Vabura Noel Kateike Matlida, Vajire Agre Henry, Vajire Agre Henry, Vagore Ngobi John, Vagore Ngobi John. Vaguma Speleza Muhenda, Vaguma Spelanza Muhenda, Vahireira Silvia Tumwekwase, Vahireira Silvia Tumwekwase, Vakashava Christopher, Vakashava Christopher, Vachireke Namboze Betty, Vachireke Namboze Betty, Banya Emmanuel Natal, Banya Emmanuel Natal, Baryayanga Andrew Ajja. Baryayanga Andrew Ajja. Baryomunsi Chris. Baryomunsi Chris. Basajja Subi Nsereko Charles Kauma. Basajja Subi Nsereko Charles Kauma. Baseke Fred. Baseke Fred. Basajja Idi. Basajja Idi. Batuwa Timothy Lusara. Batuwa Timothy Lusara. Bazanya Matayo. Bazanya Matayo. Bebona Josephine Babungi. Bebona Josephine Babungi. Begira Samuel. Begira Samuel. Begumisa Protazio. Begumisa Protazio. Vaira Emmanuel Wepuhuru. Vaira Emmanuel Wepuhuru. Vigirwa Nora Nyendoha. Vigirwa Nora Nyendoha. Vinji Patrick Nyanzi. Vinji Patrick Nyanzi. Virunji Anet. Virunji Anet. Virunji Caroline Nanyondo. Virunji Caroline Nanyondo. Visaso Abdu. Visaso Abdu. Bright Tom Amoti. Bright Tom Amoti. Bukenya Michael Iga. Byamukama Fred. Byamukama Rogers. Byanyima Nathan. Byevisho Sam. Byuma Oswald Dez. Cadet Benjamin.
Chala Elma Capel. Chanda Bernadette Kodili. Chemonges William. Chemutai Phyllis. Cheotich Rufina. Dramviku Eric Sabiti. Drito Martin Andy. Driwaru Jennifer. Echodu David Calvin. Edakas Alfred Elalu Olale. Ediao Samuel. Edopu Peter Edeku. Ekoro Alex Irukan. Ezama Siraj Brahan. They've kind of filed those, huh? Fungaru Kaps Hassan, Gasheja Shaka Stephen, Goire Moses, Gonyi David Robert, Guma David Gumisiriza, Habiara Fortunate, Ibaseret Josephine Kibbs. Ibrahim Aisu, Ikiriza Knight, Ilukol Emmanuel, Isamat Abraham, Isingoma Patrick Mwesigwa, Ismail Muhammad Lomwa, Itungu Sarah Masereka, Jalameso Fred, Joyo Harriet, Kabasa Balaba Bruce. Kabanda David, Kabanda Minsa Nabengo, Kabarokole Sarah, Kabasharida Naomi, Kawiye Chofa, Kadaga Rebecca Alitwala, Kafuzi Jackson Karugaba, Kaheru Vincent Freedom, Kahima Moses Mugabe, Kajrenze Twinomjha Wilson. Kaka Lubega Ismail Uthman, Kakoza James, Kakoza Joseph, Kalenzi Victor, Kalisa Jovrin Chomkama, Kambale Ferigo, Kampanya Abdul Swaib, Kamuntu Ephraim, Kanabi Jimmy, Kangwaje Stephen Rakanuma, Kankunda Amos Chibwika, Kansime Anna, Kanushu Laura, Kanyesje Masi, Kapyagon Brian, Karisa John Bosco Loy, Karisa John Bosco Koi, Karim Musa, Karubanga Jacob Atenyi, Karuhanga Gerald Kafureka, Karuhanga Gerald Kafureka, Kaseija Matia. Kasaja George Patrick, Kasigwa Gerald Vihemeiso, Kasiryanganda Ali, Kasuka Ali Methusela, Kasule Ismail, Kateshumbwa Dixons, Katoko Sylvia Damba, Katushabe Doreen Birunji, Katushabe Ruth, Katusime Adrien. Katusime Annette Mujisha, Katusime Jovia, Kavuma Samuel, Kawalia Abubeka, Kayogera Yona, Kenan Opio, Kenza Agnes Shuma, Kalai Peace, Chibaju Charity Kamhanda, Chichoncho Katabazi Patrick. You can tell me when you're ready. I finish this page. Then the next one.
Kiria Grace Padi Wanzala, Kiza Andrew Namitego Kaluya, Kiza Kenneth Nyendwoha, Chikabi Edward, Chinalwa James, Chinobere Habat Tom, Chinshaba Patience Nkunda, Chiruluta Yusuf Junior Nkeretani, Chirumira Hassan, Chirunji Annette Pamela. Kisa Stephen Bakubalwayo, Kisa Stephen Bakubalwayo, Chiseka Salim, Chitanywa Sowed, Kitty Peter, Kitiyo Patrick, Chiwanuka Abdallah, Chiwanuka Kefa, Chiwanuka Sulaiman, Chimba Emmanuel, Kionga WCB. Chiza Hakim Saula, Komakech Christopher, Komol Joseph Midi, Kugonza Emily, Kungu Samuel Bamuteze, Kutesa Mary Kamuli, Kutesa Patrick, Kuichwin Grace Freedom, Kwizera Eddie Wagahungu, Chambade Amelia Ann.
Kyarampe Rebecca, Kyarikunda Twina Mujuni, Kyeyune Haruna Kasoro, Kyeyune Ivan, Kyogabirwe Jackie Muganda, Lakisa Mase Faith, Lwamwaka Catherine, Lanyero Christine Awany, Lenia Charity Kevin, Linda Irene, Lokap Peter Ken, Logose Sarah Annette, Loki John Baptist.